It's only because I'm a bit high now and I just had a conversation about weed with my mum that I feel brave enough to talk about this and making voice notes in the company of others. But I just wanted to get this out. I'm I'm attuning to some kind of idea generation process that I've yet to really put a term on. But as I'm doing this, as my mind is coming up with ideas in the state of high, tuning to the aspect of high, of grace, I'm coming up with an idea. Imagination is or reimagination rather, re.imagine and then nation is a potential name for a channel on YouTube, let's say, of content for me to get the story of resource out. I think out of all my ideas so far, resource is an umbrella term, to me anyway, of this storytelling. And it seems too good to be bullshit. And it's a way of me going through this journey and discovering all of these concepts and being able to tell it through a narrative in real time. I think this is going to be a cool journey for me as a side thing, venturing into the unknown, venturing into this brave open space where you can talk about anything that you want to talk about, and a lot of them seems to be grounded on observations, my own experiences, being brave enough to talk some shit, really, just ramble on about a whole bunch of stuff that you've come across, all in the context of weaving this story that I've called resource. The talking about aspects of yourself, talking about the ego, and then this is coming from teachings from Eckhart Tolle, and it's all part of my journey. This is how I came upon these concepts, and then this concept of awareness, self-awareness, awareness of everything, and levels of just being still and appreciating the now, and basically all of Eckhart's teachings. It's spanned from that, and now I'm carrying that on, that journey of introspection, that journey of understanding and being aware and acknowledging and appreciating and feeling it, and then confirming it within yourself that these concepts are true, in you at least, and without it being converted into some kind of like dogma or mandated belief system. This is just a journey, and I'm able to use storytelling and narrative to try and tell it. And it's in the form of like a diary entry, so no one can say shit, because this is just the story I'm telling. It's of my dreams, it's of my aspirations, it's of my suffering, it's of a lot of things. And if I'm able to glean some kind of useful perspectives, right? And I'm able to put it through and communicate that through narrative. It's just my diary, man. It's just my story that I'm making up. But it seems so true, and it's grounded on what I observe around me. It's grounded on my experiences. No one can tell me otherwise. It's not grounded within scientific fact. I'm trying to resist getting entrapped into that process where you start talking about and using terminologies within science, within what we consider as truth and fact. There's a difference between truth and fact, is that we rely on fact to build stuff as a fundamental, piece of stability that we can work with. That's fact. And that has to go through the scientific method. That has to go through, undergo a lot of scrutiny and testing and stuff. That's fine in order to label a concept or a belief to be fact. But I'm talking about truth, and that's beyond the realm. It's beyond the aspect of the ego, of the mind, of the scrutiny, of the fact. Truth and belief is more on that side of the spectrum, where you have to just throw caution to the wind and you have to explore. you have to try and discover, and you have to try and search. It's that explorative nature, that the searching, the seeking to find answers without being won over by a method of fact, a method of structure, a method of a dogma, a reason. It can't come from anyone else. No one can mandate this and claim that they are the ones who have all the answers and that they know all the truths, just because they have a bunch of believable facts and they have a large following. Whether it's in the context of science or a belief system, I think that everyone has the right to explore for themselves and find their own truths. And so that's why I'm seeking truth over fact. And I'm seeking my own truth because no one can dispute that. So if everyone undergoes their own journey like this and finds their own realizations throughout life, through their observations, through their experiences, through conversations, through very open and honest conversations with other people, I think we can glean more truths and then back that up with research. Back that up with, if research hasn't been done on a particular form of seeking answers. I know I'm going on a bit, but this is what it's all about. I want to just circle back and close on imagination. I didn't even get to the point, of course. All right. Re.IMAGINE Nation could be the name of a channel, right? And the content is going to be me talking about this kind of ramblings, mainly around the subject of resource. Possibly. I don't know. All of these ideas just keep coming and feeling to me like they have the potential to be a huge thing in themselves. And I don't know which idea to really spend most of my energy on. So I'm thinking resource right now. So just record videos of me going through my processes with vape and weed and exploration and this kind of journey of truth seeking and understanding, self-development, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, record my interactions with things that I'm still feeling my way around, and vape and weed, and the processes that I've come up with. They're very pleasing to watch because they're so satisfying. All the little pieces of technology and all the tools and finding out a new way to pick the bud and having it in a certain consistency and finding the right temperature and settings on your device and cooking it and observing it. It's very much like cooking. You don't have a recipe, but you have ingredients, and you have to try and find the best ways to cook your product so that it's evenly cooked so perfectly and that you maximize the effectiveness of your experience, your THC intake or whatever. And it's not, I'm not wanting to have like arguments about what's scientifically the most optimum way to cook your weed, because that's all getting into the geeky side, and a lot of geeky people are obsessed with these effects of high, and it's cool to have a story to listen to that helps you understand various concepts that you might be experiencing, and levels of awareness, like talking about the aspects. That's a big part of resource. And all of this stuff that I'm coming up with and I'm getting out there, I want to get this kind of story, this way of thinking out there. And I want people to come on this journey with me. And I want to connect with people who have already been on this journey for years. And they just haven't had a kind of platform that they can openly talk about all this stuff. Maybe they only feel like they can talk about it with other people who partake in attuning to high, or who are of a particular set of beliefs, or their childhood friend, people who they only are their true selves around. Well, what if you could be your truth self, your most authentic self, without judgment, without fear of different people's opinions? What if you could be like that all the time? Wouldn't that be wonderful? And then your ego goes, no way in hell. There's no way that I would open myself up to that kind of scrutiny and judgment. Your ego says, no, never. And then your awareness is behind your ego, and your awareness goes, hey, I see you, ego, and I know that you are an aspect of myself, and I don't need to believe in everything you think and say. I am observing you, ego. I'm observing that you don't control me. I am aware of you being a part of me. And that awareness says, oh, what else is a part of me? I was so enthralled in the story of ego. And then the story goes on and goes on. And this form of narrative, this storytelling, I want to share that in a nice way that people can, stay focused on. Because this is all coming out unfiltered, raw, and it's yellow in personality color. And it's hard to follow, hard to keep track without some kind of visual stimulus, maybe, to keep you distracted and to keep your focus. So, yeah, what I see in front of me is something that I'm doing whilst talking, and it's very pleasing. It's a very pleasing process. So I thought maybe combine the two. So it's an easier way of getting content out there without it just being immediately dismissed. People can relate to the visual aspect of it being very satisfying, especially for the obsessive and the OCD and the, people who really are drawn to sensory things like ASMR. So that's very pleasing, and that's very attractive as a piece of content. And I don't see anything else out there. And it's sharing my process with it. So it's kind of like that. But then I also drift off and start rambling. And my ramblings have been about Re.SOURCE mainly. And I want to just get that story out. So that's my idea.